Two round wheels with centers C and D are held together by a thread. A ladybug leaves from point A and follows the thread until it gets to point B. It then goes around the perimeter to point E, where the two wheels meet, and follows the perimeter back to point A. If both wheels have a radius of 7 centimeters, how many centimeters has the ladybug traveled? To solve this, we must first draw out the diagram. So here we have our two wheels. 1, 2. So centers C and D with point A, B, and where the two wheels meet, point E. The ladybug starts from here, follows a thread which wraps around the wheels, so it goes to point B, and then follows the perimeter of the wheel to point E, and then goes back along the perimeter to point A. So to solve this, we must calculate three lengths: A to B, B to E, and E to A. Let's start by calculating A to B. So we know that the radius is 7 centimeters, and we know that they are both identical. So A to B is just the two radiuses, or radii, which gives us the length of AB to be equal to 14 centimeters. So now we know how far the ladybug has traveled from A to B. The next step is calculating the distance traveled from B to E. Now in order to do that, we must use the circumference formula, which can be defined as 2 times pi times the radius. So we can substitute r because we know our radius is 7. So then it is just 14 pi, because 2 times 7 is 14. And pi is a mathematical symbol that can be represented as 22 divided by 7. Now we know the circumference of the entire circle. However, this section, B to E, is only 1/4 of the circumference. So we have to take this 14 pi and we have to divide it by 4, because we are only trying to calculate 1/4, which is here, along there. However, A to E is also 1/4. So we can just simplify this, because instead now we have 2/4. So then this can just become 14 over 2, and that just gives us 7 pi. So now we know that from B to E and E to A is 7 pi. Now to calculate the total distance traveled by the ladybug, we must now add, well, the two calculations. So A to B is 14 centimeters, and then B to E and E to A we've combined, we have to add 7 pi. So now we just plug 7 times pi into our calculator, and then we add 14 centimeters, and we just round to the nearest centimeter after that. And once we plug it into our calculator, the final answer we should get is 36 centimeters. So therefore, the ladybug has traveled 36 centimeters, going from A to B, B to E, and E to A. The next day, the ladybug goes on the same two wheels as it did the day earlier. However, this time the ladybug took a different path. So I'm going to draw the two wheels now. So points C and D will be the centers of both wheels. However, this time the ladybug started here. So this is our new point A. traveled to point B over here, and then went to point E, where the two wheels meet, and then went along the perimeter of the first wheel back to point A. So your guys' job is to calculate the total distance the Ladybug traveled from point A to point B to point E, and then along the perimeter back to point A.